what if the most valuable skills a generation learned weren't from a classroom or an internship, but were forged on the streets under the pressure of a protest? What if the collective fire that filled the streets of Kathmandu a few years ago wasn't just a social uprising, but the launch pad for a new career wave? For a generation, their activism wasn't a distraction from their professional future. It was a high-stakes, real-world school, and its syllabus was a broken world. That experience is why their demands at work today aren't about being difficult. They're a continuation of their values from the streets. This is Gen Z's unique story, the deep, powerful DNA that links their activism to their aspirations. And if you're feeling that same drive to align your work with your values, subscribe to GENSHIFT to understand the forces shaping the new world of work. One, from the streets to the boardroom, activism as a skill incubator. To understand what's happening, we must first look at the shared global experiences that have uniquely shaped this generation. Unlike their predecessors, Gen Z has come of age in a world defined by seismic shifts, the Great Recession, a crumbling social contract, and a constant, unfiltered stream of global crises. They have grown up watching traditional institutions, political, economic, and educational, fail to deliver on their promises of security and opportunity. In Nepal, this frustration reached a boiling point with a social media ban, a move that wasn't just a restriction on communication, but was widely perceived as an attempt to erase their digital voices. This act, combined with deep-seated anger over a perceived monarchy of ministers and a culture of nepotism and corruption, was the catalyst. When the old systems provided no clear path forward, a new one had to be built. For Nepal's youth, that new system was the protest itself. Sociological and psychological frameworks show that this process of civic engagement is not a random act of rebellion, but a profound period of personal and professional development. Researchers refer to this as the process of socio-political development, which covers the range of cognitions, skills, attitudes, and worldviews that support social and political action. Activism, in this sense, becomes a form of socio-political synergy where an individual's motivation, knowledge, and involvement in a cause align and reinforce each other, providing a profound sense of purpose and belonging. For the young people of Nepal and for Gen Z globally, this is an alternative form of education for an inadequate vocational system that pushes them toward soft exile or limited opportunities. But this is more than just abstract theory. The skills gained from direct action are tangible, practical, and highly valuable. The streets of Kathmandu became a real-world leadership development program. Consider crisis management. The ability to maintain composure and coordinate with others amidst police crackdowns and curfews is a skill far more intense than any corporate simulation. Digital strategy and marketing were not taught in a lecture hall, but mastered through the viral spread of a single hashtag or the clever use of cultural shorthand. Take, for example, the use of the straw hat Jolly Roger, a symbol from a popular Japanese anime raised alongside school textbooks, which instantly communicated a shared code of rebellion against corrupt authority to their peers. This kind of high-stakes, real-time communication is what sets a good marketer apart from an exceptional one. This transition can be visualized as a career tree. Its roots are anchored in the authentic, lived experiences of civic engagement, where skills like event planning, networking, and public speaking are honed in the chaotic reality of organizing a movement. The trunk, representing the raw experience of activism, then branches out into a full canopy of professional skills. Organizing a rally translates into high-level project management. Running a social media campaign for a cause becomes digital marketing expertise. Raising money for a movement is the ultimate test of fundraising and grant writing proficiency. The ability to recruit and manage a network of passionate volunteers under pressure is a master class in people management. This form of learning is deeply authentic because the stakes are real and the lessons are immediate. It is a powerful counter-narrative to the idea of a chaotic mob. It is a portrait of a generation learning to lead by building a movement from the ground up. 2. The new career wave, a shift to values-based work. The new career wave that has emerged is a direct, data-driven response to a values-based expectation gap. The traditional job market, with its opaque hierarchies and outdated values, is failing to meet Gen Z's fundamental needs for financial stability, meaning, and well-being. The frustration in Nepal provides a powerful, specific example of this global trend. The World Bank estimates Nepal's youth unemployment rate at over 20%, a figure that has hovered at a deeply frustrating level for years. This economic reality, combined with the fact that over 1 in 500 young people leave the country every single day in search of opportunities, paints a picture of a generation on the brink of soft exile, a feeling of being educated, connected, and yet ignored. But a closer look reveals that this is not a generation giving up. It is a generation redefining the very definition of work. Where traditional jobs offer little opportunity or purpose, young people in Nepal are creating their own. The growth of digital entrepreneurship and freelancing is becoming a dominant trend driven by an interest in independence, creativity, and digital-first lifestyles. This is not just a local phenomenon. Global research from organizations like Deloitte and Gallup confirms that Gen Z's career priorities are fundamentally different from those of previous generations. Fewer than 1 in 10 Gen Z professionals see a traditional leadership role as their ultimate career goal. This is not a lack of ambition, it is a redirection of ambition. This new generation navigates its professional life not by following a linear map, but by using a values compass. This compass has 4 key axes: transparency, balance, purpose, and growth. A core driver is the deep-seated desire for purpose. As much as 90% of Gen Z and millennial workers state that a sense of purpose is essential for their job satisfaction and well-being. For them, work must offer more than just a paycheck. It must contribute meaningfully to society. This is why many are choosing to start social enterprises or join NGOs, channeling their activist energy into professional life. The second axis, transparency, is a direct response to a deep-seated distrust of institutions. Gen Z professionals are demanding open communication and ethical practices from their employers. A significant number have even rejected job offers from companies whose values do not align with their own. The third axis is balance, a critical response to a global burnout epidemic. A staggering 42% of Gen Z professionals struggle to perform at their best due to burnout, and nearly 35% feel mentally distanced from their work. They are not simply resistant to change. They are actively seeking work-life balance and are prepared to leave organizations that do not provide it. Finally, the fourth axis is growth. Gen Z views managers as mentors and expects continuous learning and development opportunities. They are not climbing a static ladder. They are seeking a dynamic path of constant evolution, guided by their personal and professional values. This ability to translate the passion and skills of activism into a professional context is what we call civic-to-career fluency. It is the new language of work. 3. The blueprint: how to harness your activist skills. So, how do you bridge the gap between activism and the professional world? The blueprint for the future of work must be built with a dual focus, providing clear guidance for both Gen Z and the organizations that want to attract their talent. For Gen Z, the first step is to recognize the undeniable value of the skills already acquired. Your experience in activism is a portfolio of work, not just a line on a resume. The key is to reframe that experience using the new language of work. Reframe organizing a protest as large-scale event coordination and project management under pressure. Reframe running a social media campaign for a cause as viral digital marketing and community engagement. Instead of simply listing your participation, detail the specific outcomes: the number of volunteers you managed, the amount of money you raised, or the number of people your message reached. Seek out organizations that explicitly align with your values. Websites and networks exist to connect purpose-driven individuals with companies and nonprofits that are actively seeking talent with a background in social activism and civic engagement. These organizations understand that the energy of an activist is the same energy that fuels a startup founder or a visionary leader. For companies and managers, the blueprint for adaptation is equally clear. You must shift your mindset from a transactional to a values-based relationship with your employees. The data is clear. Gen Z is actively disengaged in environments that don't offer purpose or clear expectations. The solution is not to fix Gen Z, but to evolve the system itself. First, actively recruit from activist backgrounds, recognizing that a history of civic engagement is a signal of resilience, passion, and problem-solving skills. Second, create an internal culture that values transparency and provides a platform for internal dialogue. When employees can discuss their concerns openly and see that the company's values align with their actions, trust is built. Finally, shift management from mere task supervision to active mentorship. Gen Z professionals are hungry for hands-on learning and development, and they view their managers as essential to that growth. The predictive future of work belongs to the organizations that can harness the energy of this new generation. This is not a conflict, it's a strategic imperative. The workplace will no longer be a sterile, values-neutral zone, but a place where purpose and profit coexist. The passion of the street, when properly channeled, will become the engine of innovation. Companies will gain resilient, purpose-driven talent, and Gen Z professionals will find meaningful work that is an extension of their values. It is a win-win scenario where the demand for a better world is no longer a protest chant, but a professional motivation. Conclusion. The protests in Nepal weren't just about a social media ban or a corrupt political system. They were also about the need for change. They were a powerful, real-time testament to a generation's determination to take control of its own narrative and its own future. What we've seen isn't a generation of aimless rebels. It's a generation of leaders, founders, and changemakers who were compelled to develop their own professional skills when traditional systems failed them. Their activism is not a sign of a broken generation, but of a generation building a new foundation for work. For Gen Z, a values-based approach isn't a choice, it's a necessity. It is the future of work. Share your story in the comments. How have you translated your passions into professional skills? And subscribe to GENSHIFT for more insights on how to thrive in the modern workplace.